Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna,
Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna,
Hare Krishna. Welcome all for the Nitya Bhagavata Savior class. We welcome His guest Kaustubh Ramanuja Prabhu, and today's nectar will be from Canto 6, Chapter 2, Text 3 and 4. Kaustubh Prabhuji, Hare Krishna. Kaustubh Prabhuji, you can hear me?
Yes, Prabhuji. Yes.
Hare Krishna. Over to you, Prabhuji. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna. Welcome to everybody for today's morning Bhagavatam discussion. Nityam Bhagavata Seva. My respectful obeisances at the lotus feet of all the devotees. Om Ajnana Timirandhasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurunmelitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Shri Chaitanya Manobhishtam Sthapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupah Kadamahyam Dadati Svapadantikam Vandeham Shri Guroho Shri Yutapadakamanam Shri Gurun Vaishnavamshta Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Raghunathanvitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadhutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakhanvitamshta Nama Om Vishnupadaya Krishna Pristhaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swaminiti Namne Namaste Saraswate Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Pashtatya Deshatarine Namo Mahavadanyaya Krishna Prema Pradayate Krishnaya Krishna Chaitanya Namne Gaurat Vishe Namaha He Krishna Karuna Sindho Dina Bandho Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostute Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishabhanusute Devi Pranamami Haripriye Vancha Kalpatarubhyashta Kripa Sindhubhya Vacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Srivasadi Gaura Bhaktavranda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, welcome to everybody once again. We are reading from Srimad Bhagavatam, 6th canto, 2nd chapter, text number 3. I'm just sharing my screen. I hope it's visible to everybody. So this is Srimad Bhagavatam, 6th canto, chapter 2, text number 3. We'll be discussing from text 3 as well as text 4. So let me recite the verse in the beginning. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Narayanam Namaskritya Naram Chaiva Narottamam Devim Saraswatim Vyasam Tato Jayamudirayet Nashta Prayeshva Bhadreshu Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya Bhagavatyuttama Shloke Bhaktir Bhavati Naishtiki Krishnaya Vasudevaya Devaki Nandanaya Cha Nandagopakumaraya Govindaya Namo Namaha. Srimad Bhagavatam 6.2.3 Prajanam Pitaro Yecha Shastaras Sadhavas Samaha Yadi Syat Teshu Vaishamyam Kamyanti Sharanam Prajaha Prajanam Pitaro Yecha Shastaras Sadhavas Samaha Yadi Syat Teshu Vaishamyam Kamyanti Sharanam Prajaha Prajanam Pitaro Yecha Shastaras Sadhavas Samaha Yati syat teshu vaishamyam kayyanti sharanam prajaha. The synonyms are as follows. Prajanam, of the citizens. Pitaraha, protectors, guardians, kings or government servants. Ye, they who. Cha, and. Shastaraha, give instructions concerning law and order. Sadhavaha, endowed with all good qualities. Samaha, equal to everyone. Yadi, if, Syat, there is, Teshu, among them, Vaishamyam, partiality, come what? Yanti will go to Sharanam, shelter, Prajaha, the citizens. Translation is as follows. A king or a government official should be so well qualified that he acts as a father, maintainer, and protector of the citizens because of affection and love. He should give the citizens good advice and instructions according to the standards scriptures and should be equal to everyone. Yamaraj does this, for he is the supreme master of justice. And so do those who follow in his footsteps. However, if such persons become polluted and exhibit partiality by punishing an innocent, blameless person, where will the citizens go to take shelter for their maintenance and security? Purport is as follows. The king, or in modern times the government, should act as the guardian of the citizens by teaching them the proper goal of life. The human form of life is especially meant for realization of oneself and one's relationship with the Supreme Personality of Godhead, because this cannot be realized in animal life. The duty of the government, therefore, is to take charge of training all the citizens in such a manner that by a gradual process they will be elevated to the spiritual platform and will realize the self and his relationship with God. The principle was followed. This principle was followed by kings like Maharaj Yudhishthira, Maharaj Parikshit, Lord Ramachandra, Maharaj Ambarish, and Prahlad Maharaj. The leaders of the government must be very honest and religious, because otherwise all the affairs of the state will suffer. Unfortunately, in the name of democracy, rogues and thieves are electing other rogues and thieves to the most important posts in the government. Recently, this has been proven in America, where the president had to be condemned and dragged down from his post by the citizens. This is only one such case, but there are many others. Because of the importance of the Krishna consciousness movement, people should be Krishna conscious and should not vote for anyone who is not Krishna conscious. Then there will be actual peace and prosperity in the state. When a Vaishnava sees mismanagement in the government, he feels great compassion in his heart and tries his best to purify the situation by spreading the Hare Krishna movement. Hare Krishna. So we are discussing from this beautiful episode, as all of you have been hearing for the past couple of months, I suppose, the first few chapters of the 6th canto, which deal with the Ajamila Upakhyana, the episode of the punishing, the supposed punishing, and the redeeming, the more to say, the redeeming of Ajamila. In the first chapter of the 6th canto, there is a description, a brief description of the history of this personality. We have heard this already, and I will not repeat it, but suffice to say that when Ajamila was on the deathbed, when he was supposedly dragged by the Yamadutas arrived there because he has been sinful throughout his life. And at that moment, when the Yamadutas are trying to take the soul of Ajamila to the abode of Yamaraja, being unaware of the true principles of religion, Ajamila loudly calls out the name of his son, Narayana, the 4-syllabled name of Narayana, which actually absolves him of all sinful activities that he has ever committed, not just in one lifetime, but in many, many lifetimes. That's what Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur says. We are very soon coming to the point where we are about to discuss one of the landmark purports of Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur in verses 9 and 10. Not just in Bhagavatam, but amongst all of Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur's works, the purports of Chakravarti Pad to Srimad Bhagavatam, 6th canto, 2nd chapter, verses 9 and 10. These are considered to be his landmark purports, the most important purports that he has ever written, and the most beautiful glorification of the holy name that he has he has proved over there. Those are two landmark verses where, of course, together he gives one purport over there. But before that, in the first few verses of this chapter, is described the Vishnu Duta's conversation with the Yamadutas. So when the Yamadutas come and they're about to take the soul of Ajamila, at that time the Vishnu Dutas come just because Ajamila has chanted the name Narayana, and therefore when the Vishnu Dutas try stopping Yamadutas from taking Ajamila to the abode of death, at that point in time, the Vishnu Dutas question Yamadutas, Bruta dharmasya nastatvam adharmasya cha lakshanam, they say. If you are trying to say that this personality actually deserves to go to the hellish planet to be punished by Yamraj, please then elucidate to us what are the principles of religion and what are the principles of irreligion. Of course, there are nothing like principles of irreligion, but what are the characteristics? Bruhu dharmasya nas tattvam. So they say dharmasya tattvam adharmasya lakshanam. Very appropriate words they use. Please elucidate what are the principles of religion, what are the characteristics of irreligion. Ko dandyaha, ko adandyaha, who is a worthy candidate to be punished and who is not worthy to be punished. So in response, the rest of the chapter, the first chapter, the Yamadutas elaborate in detail what they think and what they generally hear, what is generally heard are the principles of religion. So the Yamadutas are not punishing out of the blue or punishing in the air, as they say, right? The Yamadutas are also quite learned in the principles of religion because they are serving the Supreme Master, Yamaraj. So if Yamaraj is appointed by the Supreme Personality of Godhead himself to to the supreme-most post in this world to carry out the law of justice, to punish those who are worthy to be punished and to reward who are those who are worthy to be rewarded, right? So in that case, the servants of Yamaraj also should be well versed in the principles of religion. So they elaborate in detail. Veda pranahito dharmaha adharmastad viparyayaha vedo narayana sakshat swayambhuriti shushruma. They begin like that, that whatever is stated in the Vedas, that is religion. And what is not there is a religion. Because Vedas are directly the Supreme Personality of Godhead, and the Vedas are actually Swayambhu. They didn't come from any mortal source. They came directly from the breathing of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So that's how they begin. And then they say that how there are many justices in this world. There are many pramanas. There is the fire, there is the air, there are the four directions. There is finally there is the Paramatma himself. And anybody that these 14, I think there are 14 pramanas, anybody they consider to be worthy to be punished, is supposed to be punished. So like that, they elaborate a lot, and finally, towards the end of the chapter, they give a brief history of this Ajamila and how he used to be a very nice young boy who was married to a very beautiful wife, and he had very nice parents. But unfortunately, because of seeing something that was not supposed to be seen, although he didn't go there to see that either. His desire is, sleeping desires within his heart, they get awakened, and he indulges in all kinds of sinful activities. So that's how they end the first chapter. In summary, this is how the first chapter is crafted by Shukadeva Goswami. Now, in the second chapter, the Vishnu Dutas begin replying. So the first two verses we have already discussed. Badarayani Uvacha. Badarayani is a name for Shukadeva Goswami. Evam te Bhagavad Dutaha Yamaduta Abhibhashitam Upadharya Atha Tan Rajan Pratyahuhu Nayakovidaha. So the Vishnu Dutas have been described here as Nayakovidaha. They are very expert in logic. Expert in logic means expert in Shastric logic, right? Of course, there are many kinds of logic within this world. There's an entire branch of Vedic literature called Nyaya Shastra. Nyaya and Vaisheshika, they go together. Nyaya is actually Indian logic. So how great acharyas, they use this system of science that the rishis developed to convey their own points of philosophy. So every acharya has used nyaya. So here the Vishnu Dutas are also described as Naya Kovida. Kovida means expert. Naya means logic. So they are experts in logic. So if the Yamadutas thought that we have very elaborately expanded on the codes for punishment and why Ajamila is a worthy candidate to be punished, then now they are about to hear how something supersedes even their codes of punishment. Right? So in the second chapter, we are about to hear that which is generally not described in generally not described in any of the scriptures. Because generally, even in the Vedic scriptures, we see that what is the general code of description in the Vedic scriptures is that we see the dharma, the general codes of dharma, artha, kama, and moksha. Right? So therefore, Prabhupada says there is hardly any talk of this Panchama Purushartha. So what Vishnu Dutas are about to describe now is the Panchama Purushartha, the glories of the Lord and His holy name, and the glories of the holy name that supersedes the glories of the Lord Himself. Right? So that is what will be described now. So in the first verse, we saw in the first verse, the Vishnu Dutas say, the beginning of their description itself is that Aho Kashtam Dharma Drasham Adharma Sprishate Sabham Yatra Adandeshu Apapeshu Dandoyair Dhriyate Vritha. It's a very sorry state of affairs. This is how they begin. That people who are supposed to be learned in the codes of conduct, in the codes of religion, in the principles of religion, they are giving punishment to one who is not worthy to be punished. That's how they begin. Yatra adandyeshu apapeshu. Adandya means one who is not worthy to be punished. Apapeshu means one who is not sinful. So one who is not sinful is not worthy to be punished as well. One who is worthy to be punished, right? So dandoyair dhriyate vritha. Vritha means in vain. People who are not worthy to be punished, they are punished in vain without any reason, right? That's how they begin their talk with the Yamadutas. So now next verse is the verse that we are discussing today. Prajanam pitaro yecha shastaraha sadhavas samaha yadisyat teshu vaishamyam kam yanti sharanam prajaha. So there are many adjectives that are used over here. Today's verse is also a very important verse. Why? Because it indicates who and who can take up responsibilities and what are the responsibilities for every individual. We cannot say that I will not take responsibilities within this world, right? Everybody has to take some other responsibility. Although in the 5th canto, we have seen that famous verse, Gurur na sasyat, swajano na sasyat, pita na sasyat, janani na sasyat, na mochayedyas samupetam mrityum. That's how that verse goes. One should not become a guru, one should not become a relative, one should not become a father or a mother, or even a daivam na tatsyat, like that. So even a deity, if he cannot deliver his dependents. So the purport of this verse is not that one should not become a father or one should not become a mother or anything like that. The purport is that one should know first what are the responsibilities in that position and then take that responsibility. Correct? So similarly here, the Vishnu Dutas are indicating to the Yamadutas, they are using 4 adjectives. Prajanam pitaraha, that is the first. Second, shastaraha. Second, and the third is sadhavaha. And fourth is samaha. Right? Again, the first one is prajanam pitaraha. Second one is shastaraha. Third is sadhavaha. And fourth is samaha. Each of these has a very specific meaning as indicated by Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur in his commentary. He has given a beautiful commentary to this verse. So all of us know that Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur's commentary is usually in the form of a dialogue or a conversation, right? So even if there's a dialogue, he gets into a dialogue within that dialogue, or he gets into the mood of that person who is speaking that dialogue, the mood of both the parties, the speaker and the hearer, right? So here Chakravarti Thakur indicates, I'll just read the commentary. It's a very beautiful commentary. He gives specific meanings to each of these words that the Vishnu Dutas speak in reference to the Yamadutas, right? So he says, Shrunuta Re, this is how Chakravarti Thakur begins. Shrunuta means please hear, Re means with great attention, indicating, oh Rama, oh Krishna, like that we say, right? Like that. Shrunutare prajanam pitritvam shastritvam sadhutvam swamyancha yushmat swaminam yat shruyate. See, hey Yamadutas, we are using these 4 words, 4 adjectives to indicate who we are indicating your master. The abode, the master of the abode of death, who is none other than Yamaraja, right? Who came as Vidura. So we are indicating your master. He has these 4 characteristics. What are they? Prajanam Pitritvam. First of all, he is the supreme father for all living entities. Second, not the supreme father, but he is like one of the fathers. Supreme father is Krishna only. So I take back my word, but he's one of the fathers. Prajanam Pitritvam Shastritvam. He is like one of the supreme controller. Again, whenever I'm using the word supreme here, it is to indicate the exalted position that he has. Not that he is actually the supreme controller or supreme father or anything like that. He really has a lot of control within him. Krishna has bestowed that kind of controllership to him. So Shastritvam, Sadhutvam, Sadhutvam, although he has the first 2 characteristics, although he's like the father to all living entities, because he is in charge of the abode of punishment, he decides who is to be punished and what they should be punished for. And although he controls all living entities in the sense that anybody who does any one single wrong activity has to go to him. We have heard the story of Vidura, how he became Vidura, right? Because it was just because in the he as Yamaraj, he carried out punishment to, I think, Mandavya Muni, who actually just killed one ant when he was a child or two, when he was not even aware of what is supposed to be, what is dharma and what is adharma. He was not even aware of that. At that time, when he did something very small, supposedly small, he got the punishment of having had to go through something similar, right? The king was about to pierce him with that, I don't know what you call that rod or whatever it is, right? So we have seen that the Yamaraj has a lot of control within him. He can even carry punishment to great sages like them, right? What to speak of, ordinary laymen like us. So, sadhutvam. So, even though he has these first 2 characteristics, he is the supreme father in one sense, he is the supreme controller in another sense, still he is a sadhu, right? And the 4th characteristics is that samyancha, he is equal, he has equanimity within him in the sense that he carries out the law of justice without any partiality, right? This is what we have heard, that Yamaraj has these 4 characteristics. But Yushmat Swaminam Yat Shruyate Tat Kalu Kim Samprati Anritameva Abhut Ityahu. Although he has these 4 characteristics, now it seems that these 4 characteristics, what we have heard, are not true. Why? Because we don't see them in his servants. This is how Chakravarti Thakur beautifully describes, right? So these 4 words that the Vishnu Dutas are using in reference to Yamadutas are actually in reference to Yama himself. But now, because the Yamadutas are not exhibiting those characteristics, we think that these 4 characteristics, what we have heard that that Yamaraj is adorned with, are not true. They are untrue. That's how we are perceiving this. And then Chakravarti Thakur gives the meaning of each of these words. Please hear this, very beautiful. Prajanam iti vatsalyat pitaraha. Why is he called father? Why is anybody called a father? Because he has vatsalya. Vatsalya is nothing but the mood of parental affection, right? In this Gita Bhashya, Ramanujacharya gives a very nice definition of the word vatsalya. Vatsalasya bhavaha vatsalyam, he says. Just like when a cow has a newborn calf, if anybody has seen in the villages, I have not seen this myself, but I have heard that when a calf is newborn, the cow has just given birth to a calf. At that time, the calf comes out. This is true with any birth, not just with cows. But the speciality is that cows exhibit this kind of a characteristic, which I'm about to describe. So the calf, when it takes its birth, it comes out very, very unclean. It has some drops of blood on top of it. It has lot of all kinds of substances on it. And how does the cow clean the calf? The cow cleans the calf by licking it. The cow cleans the calf not by giving it a bath, not by taking it to some river or a lake or anything like that, but it just licks and licks and licks and cleans the calf. That's how it is explained. So therefore, that is how the Supreme Lord is the ultimate Father. Why? Because the Supreme Lord is so eager to take us back to Him that He gradually absolves those who have taken the path of bhakti, absolves them of all kinds of sinful activities that they have committed. Right? So that is called Vatsalyam. So therefore, he is called the Father. Yamaraj is called the Father because sometimes he also excuses people who have not committed very grave sinful activities, and he's more anxious to send people back to Godhead than in punishing them. That's why therefore he's called Father. So Vatsalyat Pitaraha. Second, Shastaraha. Shasta means what? A punisher or a controller. Why is he called a Shasta? Because dharma shikshanat shastaraha. So Yamaraj is called Dharma Shasta because he gives instructions on what is dharma and what is adharma. And that is what you guys are also supposed to do. You should be knowing what is dharma first, and then you are supposed to instruct other people on what is true dharma. But we see that you yourself are not aware of what true dharma is. And how can you instruct others? Forget about instructing others. Far from instructing others, you yourself are not aware of what true dharma is. Third. The third word that was used was sadhavaha. So what is sadhavaha? Sarvatra. Okay, sadhava is not explained here, but samaha, that is the fourth word, is explained. Sarvatra samasukha dukkha samya darshanat samaha. So Yamaraj actually is not bothered with the dualities of this world. He is above the dualities, and therefore he is equanimous in all kinds of situations. He sees every situation equally. Matra sparashastu kaunteya shitoshna sukha dukkhadaha agama apayinaha anityaha tam stitikshasva bharata. Krishna makes it clear. So Yamaraj follows that in his life. So there is nothing like he gets elated with sukha and he gets very, very distressed because of apparent dukkha. Nothing like that. He's always equanimous, and therefore that characteristics is supposed to be seen in you guys as well, but we are not seeing it. Teshu Vaishamyam iti pitaropi prajapidakaha. So now the Vishnu Dutas are really taking the Yamadutas to task, because they say in the third line of these words, the third verse of the second chapter of the sixth canto, they say, Yadisya teshu Vaishamyam. Vaishamyam means partiality. That is one of the general meanings of the word Vaishamyam. But here they're using Vaishamyam in another sense. That's what Chakravarti Thakur is indicating. What is he saying? That they are actually, whatever four adjectives we used just now, you're acting opposite to that. And therefore, you guys are not following what Yamaraj has asked you to do, right? What he has appointed you for. You guys are not following what Yamaraj has appointed you for. What are you doing? Instead of exhibiting the quality of affection, the fatherly affection that are supposed to be exhibited by Yamaraj and his servants, you guys are Pitaropi prajapidakaha. You are troubling the living entities. And you are troubling the living entities to such an extent that you are taking that person who is not worthy to be taken to the hellish planets, you are taking him as well. Prajapidakaha. Pitaropi prajapidakaha. Even though you are supposed to be their father, you are taking him to hellish planet. Next, Shastaropi Swakinkaranapi Dharman na Shikshayanti. Even though you are supposed to be the Shasta, the controller or the punisher, one of the major duties of a Shasta is to instruct people on what is Dharma. So a person who knows Dharma and who has himself lived by Dharma, he has the authority to instruct others on Dharma, right? So Prabhupada, very often he used to give the definition of who is an Acharya. Achinoti shastrani achare sthapayatyapi swayam acharate yasmat tasmad acharyochyate. There are three characteristics of an Acharya. The third most important characteristic, he said, swayam acharate yasmat tasmad acharya uchyate. One can be called an Acharya if he first lives by everything that he teaches and then he teaches. Then he can be called an Acharya. So you guys are not Acharyas. That's what Vishnu Dutas are saying. Because far from instructing people on what is Dharma, you guys yourself are not implementing Dharma, and forget about that. Your guys don't even know what is true Dharma, right? So that's how they say. And then, and you're not even instructing to your own servants. That's how they say. And then finally, sadhavopi ahitakarinaha. Even though you guys are supposed to be sadhus because Yamaraj is the supreme sadhu, but you are you want to do bad to others. Ahitakarinaha. You are indulging in doing something that is not beneficial to the living entities. Ahitakarinaha. And then samaha api paradukha anabhignaha. Even though you are supposed to be exhibiting the quality of having risen above all dualities, but you are not empathetic to the pain of others. You're not empathetic to the pain of others. Paradukha anabhignaha. Abhignya means to know. Anabhignya means to be not aware, to not be cognizant. So a person who has risen above dualities himself, it is explained in Bhagavad Gita by one of the Acharya. Yeah, I don't remember, but one of the Acharya says that one who has risen above dualities can be the most compassionate. Very beautifully he explains actually. One who has risen above all dualities, because there are so many places in the Bhagavad Gita where Krishna expects that all of his devotees be equipoised, right? Dukkeshvanudvigna manaha sukheshu vigatasprihaha Vitaraga Bhayakrodha Manmayam Vitaraga Bhayakrodha. I don't remember the last name. This comes in the second chapter where Krishna describes the qualities of a Sthita Prajna, right? So, and in many places, in the 12th chapter, for example, so many verses. The 12th chapter is Bhakti Yoga. But in the chapter of Bhakti Yoga, which is supposed to be the crescendo of the Bhagavad Gita, there Krishna expects that all of his devotees are equipoised in all dualities. Right? Therefore, the Acharya explains that one who is equipoised, one who has risen above all dualities, he can be the most compassionate because he is not dependent on external situations even to exhibit the quality of compassion. Right? Dualities actually arise because of external situations. And one who is within the grip of those dualities, he will exhibit compassion when he is in a good mood, and in other times he will not exhibit any compassion. Why? Because he has to deal with his own mind before exhibiting that quality of compassion, and therefore he cannot be truly compassionate in the true sense of the term. Right? So therefore, here they are saying that although you are supposed to be samaha, equipoised, you are supposed to be equanimate in all kinds of dualities, but we see that you are not so. Why? Because you are not aware, you're not even cognizant of the pain of others. So if people get, Shastaraha, they get controllers like you, then where will they go? Right? Where are they supposed to go? This is one of the characteristics of Kali Yuga, right? Prabhupada is expanding on the subject in the purport. If the leaders of society themselves are thieves and rogues, then where will ordinary citizens go? Therefore, Prabhupada, in many times in his lectures, he used to say, at the end of Kali Yuga, people will be, fed up with the government because the government only will know how to extract taxes from the people in general. And therefore, people in general will run to the forests, and the forests will become the cities. Because as soon as they run to the forests, they will not sit quiet in the forest, right? they will make some arrangement for themselves. But that will be the horrible situation, and that already has started to happen also. His Holiness Radhana Swami Maharaj describes in his journey home. I'm sure many of you must have read. In one of the countries, maybe must be Italy or somewhere, where he was traveling with some of his friends, and suddenly they woke up one morning and they found that his friends' items or whatever possession he had, everything was missing. Somebody had stolen, and there was a theft, and therefore they immediately ran to the police station, and the police was least bothered. And the police, instead of chasing the instead of catching the thieves, they were more interested in these guys, and they were they were asking all kinds of questions, and finally they chased them away. They said that just get lost from here, we cannot deal with all kinds of problems that you have, your personal problems. I don't remember the story properly, but while moving in the car, they noticed that the police had one of the possession of this guy, one of the Maharaj's friends, right? As you know, Richard slave in those days, his friend, whatever possessions were stolen, the police actually had one of them. This may be very hard to hear in the Western countries, but this may be very common in India. But this is quite hard to hear in the Western countries, right? So when the police themselves become rogues and thieves, and the police themselves, when the supposed leaders themselves become, you know, they take to adharma, then what hope do the common citizens have, right? This is a concern that the Vishnu Dutas are exhibiting over here, right? So it's actually a very great lesson for all of us, that those of us who are having very great responsibilities, everybody has a responsibility to some extent or the other, but some of us may be having bigger responsibilities, right? So there, those who have bigger responsibilities have to be more careful, right? I think His Holiness Radhana Swami Maharaj only in some of his lectures he quotes that very famous line of Spider-Man. I never used to watch Spider-Man, but I heard this line from Maharaj only. He says that one who gets great power also has to accept great responsibility, right? The greater the power one has, the greater the responsibility also he has to carry out. So therefore, it is so very important that those who are in exceptionally responsible positions, leadership positions, they have to hear Shastra all the more than those who have lesser important positions. Not that those who have lesser important positions should not read the Shastra, that's not the meaning. But many times it so happens that when one has very great responsibilities like management positions and all that, one gets so very carried away just by executing those responsibilities, even within Krishna consciousness, that one doesn't dedicate enough time to hear from the sadhus and to hear from Shastra, right? But on the other hand, one who gives the due priority to hearing from the Shastra, he can take as many responsibilities as will be awarded by his seniors, because he has the right mood in executing those responsibilities. If one is not hearing from the Shastra, surely this applies to myself more than anybody else. So surely what will happen is that he will not be in a right position, he will not be in the right mood, because when one gets into management, especially the task of management itself is very passionate, as all of us know. So, and one is more prone to commit offenses, one is more prone to act wrongly in the while dealing with dealing with the management positions, while dealing in the management positions, right? One is more prone to act wrong, and one is more prone to take wrong decisions, and one is more prone to hurt others, because he has power, he has authority. So it is more important that those personalities hear from Shastras on a regular basis, every day. Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya Bhagavati Uttama Shloke Bhaktir Bhavati Naishtiki. So that's what is indicated in this purport. So now we'll go to the next verse, which is actually a very famous verse of the Bhagavad Gita also. The Bhagavad Gita also has a very similar verse in the 3rd chapter. So I'll just share the screen. Let me just. This is the 4th verse of the 6th canto, 2nd chapter. Yes. So the 4th verse, which is very similar to Srimad Bhagavad Gita 3:21. Yadyadacharati Shreshtaha. There is just a few other words that are used in this verse. Let me recite the verse. Yadyadacharati Shreyan itarastattadihate sayat pramanam kurute lokastad anuvartate. Yadyadacharati Shreyan itarastattadihate sayat pramanam kurute lokastad anuvartate. Yadyadacharati Shreyan itarastattadihate sayat pramanam kurute lokastad anuvartate. Synonyms are like this. Yat, whatever. Acharati, executes. Shreyan, a first class man with full knowledge of religious principles. Itaraha, the subordinate man. Tat, that. Ihate, performs. Saha, he, the great man. Yat, whatever. Pramanam, as evidence or as the right thing. Kurute, accepts. Lokaha, the general public. Tat, that. Anuvartate, follows. Translation: the mass of people follow the example of a leader in society and imitate his behavior. They accept as evidence whatever the leader accepts. Purport: although Ajamila was not punishable, the Yamudutas were insisting on taking him away to Yamaraj for punishment. This was adharma, contrary to religious principles. The Vishnudutas feared that if such irreligious acts are allowed, the management of human society would be spoiled. In modern times, the Krishna consciousness movement is trying to introduce the right principles of management for human society. But unfortunately, the governments of Kali Yuga do not properly support the Hare Krishna movement because they do not appreciate its valuable service. The Hare Krishna movement is the right movement for ameliorating the fallen condition of human society. And therefore, governments and public leaders in every part of the world should support this movement to completely rectify humanity's sinful condition. Yes. So in this verse, the 4th verse, the Vishnu Dutas are giving a general principle to the Yamadutas. This principle is something that Krishna himself indicates in the Bhagavad Gita. Yadyadacharati Shreyan. Here, Shreyan or Shreshtaha, both are the same. Both have the same meaning. Both carry the same meaning. Right? Shreyan means one who has exceptional power. Shri, it comes from the word Shri. Shri may refer to many opulences, not just the wealth. Generally, everybody approaches Mother Lakshmi for wealth, but Mother Lakshmi can actually provide the supreme most wealth, which is bhakti. Along with that, Mother Lakshmi can also provide many other forms of material wealth, like beauty. Janmaishwarya Shruta Shri Bhihi. There, the word Shri doesn't mean wealth. It actually means beauty, right? Because Aishwarya means wealth over there. So Shri can refer to many opulences. So one who has any of these opulences naturally becomes singled out in society, right? One who has exceptional beauty, like these cinema stars and cinema actresses and everybody, they have exceptional beauty and therefore they become singled out in society. One who is exceptionally intelligent, like Einstein, exceptional intelligence, or in India we have Srinivasa Ramanujan, an exceptional mathematician. It is said that his half of his formulae that he wrote are still unproven, although more than 100 years have passed since he left the world. He lived for only 32 years, right? So he was exceptionally intelligent. Some may be exceptionally powerful in the sense that they have so much of authority. They may be in very powerful positions, like the positions of the president or the prime minister, right? So whatever they do, yadyad acharati shreyan itaraha tattadihate. So there's one difference though between this verse and the verse in the Bhagavad Gita. Here the verse says itaraha tattadihate. Ihate means to desire. The root meaning of the word ihate is to desire. Of course, Prabhupada translates here as doing only, but the word ihate in the root stands for desiring, right? So in the Bhagavad Gita, Krishna says, yadyad acharati shreshtaha tattadeva itaro janaha acharati. So acharati means whatever a person in a responsible position does, in a powerful position does, the same thing will be done by the other living entities. So here, what the Vishnu Dutas say is that the same will be desired for by the common people. And if somebody desires, they will not be very far from doing that particular activity as well, right? So therefore, people in responsible positions have to act responsibly as well. Sayat pramanam kurute lokastad anuvartate. So these second and the third and the fourth lines are even more important. Whatever standards he sets, sayat pramanam kurute, lokahatad anuvartate. The entire world will follow in his footsteps. Pramana. The word pramana is very, very important. The word pramana can also have multiple meanings. Generally, it is used in the sense of proof or something like that. But it actually has a deeper meaning. So, pramana it comes from the word prama. Prama means something that can be gathered by one of the pramanas. So just like there are two forms of jnana, the Nyaya Shastra has explained. Yathartha jnana and ayarthartha jnana. Yathartha means to get the knowledge which is true, as it is, as they say. So as Prabhupada named it, his Bhagavad Gita as it is. So to get the true knowledge is yathartha jnana, and ayathartha is to get knowledge which is not true. Just like when I have a mirage in front of me, when I am going on the highway, if I see that according to pratyaksha pramana, then it will be seen as water, which is ayathartha jnana. It is not true. Therefore, it is ayathartha jnana. But if I see that apparent water that is there on the highway, according to my Shabda Pramana, which I have heard, because I cannot verify Shabda Pramana. Shabda Pramana is supposed to be heard only, right? Then I understand that it is not water, it is only a reflection, it is only an illusion, right? Not even a reflection, it is only an illusion, correct? You may have so many meanings for that according to science, but ultimately it is just an illusion, right? So that I can gather through Shabda Pramana. So therefore, Yathartha Jnana and Ayathartha Jnana is decided by the Pramana. And that Jnana itself is called Prama, right? So therefore, here what Krishna says, or here what the Vishnu Dutas say, is that whatever the standard that the great person sets for the common set of people, for the common people to live by, that will be the standard through which they will gain all kinds of knowledge, and they will act according to that knowledge, right? I first gain knowledge and then I will act according to that knowledge, right? So therefore, it is very, very important to set that true standard for the people, common people, to live by. Right? So Chakravarti Thakur in his commentary over here, he says, Tadevam achirena dharma margaha eva uchannaha bhavishyati ityahu. Very brief commentaries. So yad yad. So now that we have seen what kinds of behavior is shown by the servants of Yamaraj, I think very soon all kinds of all the principles of dharma, whatever the principles of dharma the Vedas have propagated, I think very soon all of that will get destroyed. Sarcastically, that's how they are indicating to Yamadutas, that all those principles of religion that the Vedas have propagated since the dawn of creation, if this is the kind of behavior that are exhibited by the servants of Yamaraj himself, I think all those principles will very soon be destroyed. Uchannaha bhavishyati. Uchannaha means they will be destroyed, or at least they will be covered up. So that's how they explain. So Prabhupada is indicating in the purport again over here that let me just go back. I just wanted to indicate a point. I forgot that. Yeah, he's talking about the management in society, right? So it is very important for devotees to get into important posts within the government if possible, but at least in some of the some of the posts in the society. That's what Prabhupada is saying, because those who have power, they can bring out some change. Of course, it may not be very much encouraged also for devotees, but some of the devotees who really have that passion within them, who really have that capability within them, they should go into this direction as well. Just so that the people in general, they are allowed to practice whatever they want to. Yesterday, His Holiness Indranand Swami Maharaj, I'm sure all of you were there. He was saying that recently he was put into prison in Russia. I was not aware of that. I heard directly from Maharaj. Most of you might have heard for the first time also. He was saying that he was put into prison in Russia just because he did Harinam Sankirtan in Russia, on the streets of Russia. Russia still continues to be communist, right? Both in Russia as well as in China, if one goes on the street, he will be immediately put into prison. He will be immediately put behind bars, right? So we don't know the kind of fortune we have in India. On the other hand, Maharaj was explaining that when he wanted to meet the Prime Minister of India, the Prime Minister was so happy to meet him, right? We cannot even imagine that in Russia, because the government is communist over there. So government doesn't want to have anything to do with religion over there. Forget about meeting the Prime Minister or the President there. Even if one wants to carry out something that is beneficial to the common mass of people, like Harinam Sankirtan in the streets, he'll be immediately be put behind bars, right? So therefore, Prabhupada is indicating over here that people in general are not understanding the value of this movement, because this movement is showing people the true path of religion. So therefore, Prabhupada is indicating over here that it is nice if some people take to responsible posts within the government as well. Just like our Prime Minister, there is nothing like there is nothing to hide over there, right? Our Prime Minister actually follows the principles of Dharma as much as possible himself. At least if he doesn't follow some things, he at least encourages them. And therefore, so many thousands and thousands of people are getting faith every single day in Sanatana Dharma, right? So therefore, Prabhupada is indicating over here that even if it not be the case that everybody is interested, every devotee is interested to pursue this path, even if a few people are interested, they should be encouraged in that. They should be encouraged so that they can create a good atmosphere where the general mass of devotees can practice the principles of religion. That's what Prabhupada is indicating in his purport. There may be many other things to say on both of these verses, but we are closing. We're getting to the closing time. It's 8:10, so therefore I'd like to halt my words over here. I thank everybody in this forum. I'm sure all of us, all of you are much more senior to me, but still sometimes I get this opportunity to speak over here. So I thank all of you for being a patient here. Thank you very much. Hare Krishna. Granthara Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Hare Krishna.
Thank you so much, HG Kaustubh Prabhu. Thank you so much. We are very fortunate to hear from you, Prabhuji. So, and thank you for those wonderful insights in both the shlokas. And definitely, as you said, Maharaj also sounded about the leaders that are needed. He gave examples of 3 names, but then those are the kind of leaders that we need. Yes. Thank you so much, Prabhuji. Again, I would request devotees to share the comments or inputs or questions if they have. Please unmute and share. Hare Krishna. Not sure if I was
we can unmute. Hare Krishna, Prabhu. Dandavat Pranam. Yes, as you rightly said, Prabhu, unless you have power, you cannot bring about any change in the society. And those people who have got the power and the knowledge, I think they should move forward and take up positions so that we can bring in some change. Sometimes it is disheartening to hear about the conversions which are taking place. And of course, the present they are doing this, lot of meetings are happening in Bangalore, and they're trying to do it, but that is maybe a small percentage. And if somebody takes up the lead and then go forward, I think it should be good. We can protect our own culture and the religion. Thank you for the wonderful class, Prabhu. Dandvat Pranam.
Thank you, Mataji. Anybody else has anything to share?
Hare Krishna Prabhu, thank you very much, Kaustubh Ramanuja Prabhu, for the wonderful class. Puji, I have one question. In the previous slokas, when we see when Yamadutas were explaining the Shastras, it was so, I was so inspired, they have such a in-depth of knowledge on the Shastra, like Panditas. So they actually clearly explain what is pious activity, what is impious activity, and they also know that Supreme Personality of Godhead is Narayana. It's a little bit surprising from that perspective that they know, but they were not aware of the glories of the name. Is it kind of ignorance on their part, or they are actually playing the role of Yamadutas like that? How to understand that?
Thank you for the question, Prudi. Thank you, Mataji, also for the concern. Yeah, all of us do have that concern, but yeah, we have to see who is willing to get into that post in the government and make some very drastic changes. But anyway, coming to this question, this is a very nice question actually, because the question is that are Yamadutas really not aware of the glories of the holy name, or are they playing the part just like Arjuna played the part of being not aware, just so that Krishna could speak the Bhagavad Gita to the entire world? So are Yamadutas also playing the same part so that Vishnudutas can elucidate on the true principles of religion? See, generally when we get these kinds of questions, because this can apply to many episodes in the Bhagavatam itself, that whether a person is in true ignorance or is he playing the part of being ignorant just so that something bigger can come out. So whenever these kinds of questions come, we generally refer to the commentaries of the Acharyas. The commentaries of the Acharyas, they give us full light. They throw full light on the situation. So in the Bhagavad Gita, as far as the Bhagavad Gita is concerned, it is true that Arjuna had to play that part. Although himself was a pure devotee, he was completely aware of every single thing that Krishna was about to say, but he played that part perfectly on Krishna's, because it was Krishna's desire. That is made clear in the commentaries of the Acharyas, like Chakravarti Thakur himself in the beginning of this Sarartha Varshini is his commentary on Bhagavad Gita, Sarartha Dharshini on Bhagavatam. So in Sarartha Varshini, he says that in the beginning itself. But here it is not very much indicated. So it seems that the Yamadutas were truly not aware. Moreover, when they go back to Yamaduta, when they go back to Yamaraj himself, Yamaraj, then he speaks of the glories of Vaishnavas, the glories of the holy name, and everything he elucidates on that after the Yamadutas had to forsake Ajamila and they get back to Yamaraj. So therefore, it is not very much indicated over here. I have not at least come across. So therefore, it seems that they were truly in ignorance as far as the glories of the holy name and the glories of Vaishnavas were concerned. They may be aware of everything else that Yamaraj had already told them before. But as far as these two things are concerned, it seems that they were truly unaware. That's how I see it.
Thank you, Prabhuji. One other aspect, what I realized was typically we see the pictorial representation of Yamaraj in the so-called movies, etc. was they are gross, ignorant, and having ugly face, etc. But by seeing the description, by seeing the by hearing the explanation they've given about their sastric knowledge, it looks like they are also equally, very exalted people. The type of knowledge they hold and the respect they have and the way they talk, they talk like very scholarly people. So my perspective has
Yes.
changed, Prabhu.
Yes, sure. So yeah, of course, the description that we have in our movies and everything cannot be relied upon at all. Where they generally show Narada to be a comedian in the movies and everything. Narada is the greatest of sages. All the prominent characters in Bhagavatam are his disciples. So similarly, Yamadutas they may show as having straight hair and not very ugly faces and everything. But the Bhagavatam actually says if they are the servants of Yamaraj himself, who has such a responsible position within the universal cosmos, then they also have to be exalted. They may not be as exalted as Yamaraj, as is indicated here, but they have to be exalted to a certain extent at least, because they are hired by Yamaraj to carry out his task on his behalf. That's a very important mention. Thank you, Prabhuji.
Thank you, Prabhu. Thank you.
Thank you
for the wonderful.
Thank you so much. I was just off the topic. I was looking at the purport, the fourth verse. There's a wonderful word that Prabhupada uses. The Hare Krishna moment is the right moment for ameliorating the fallen conditions. I just checked the definition. It says to propagate and promote. It's such a wonderful word Prabhupada is used. Yeah. Thank you, Prabhuji. Thank you for the wonderful class again. And we'll end with Vaishnava Pranam. Before that, we'll meet next tomorrow at the same time. We'll end with Vaishnava Pranams now. Vanchakalpatrubhyascha kripasindubhyascha patitanam pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo namah. Anantakoti Vaishnavrinda ki jai. Vaishnava Thakur Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Thank you so much, Kaustubh Prabhu, again. Thank you all for joining the Nityam Bhagavata Sevya. We'll meet tomorrow at the same time. Hare Krishna.